GM Farcaster. It is Friday, July 26th, and you are here with Nounish Prof and my special guest co-host, I Speak Nerd. Nerd, welcome. It's so nice to be able to call somebody nerd and have it be like not an insult. It's great.
Yeah, we're taking it back. We're taking it back, baby.
Taking it back. It's revenge. Revenge of the nerves. Nice.
But less
mug.
problematic than that movie.
Nice. Yeah, a little bit. Nice mug. I have this one today, so I don't have my matching one, but let me take a little sip there. Great to see that mug. Love seeing that mug in the wild when I'm not expecting it. Fantastic. And GM, I'm so glad to have you here. So we're going to be talking all things Farcaster today, and then we're going to jump into a little bit about tabletop. That's my background. I missed last night's game night, and I feel bad. I think I got thrown off because we played on Wednesday too, so I forgot about the Thursday. And then I was sucked into the Little Nouns happy hour. But by the way, if you happen to hold a Little Noun, you really should pop by sometime. A lot of fun. So yeah, so let's dive in. We've got lots to chat about. First, this from Horsefax. We've released the latest rounds of Composer Actions. Thanks to all the devs who won this round. If you're building a client, the Warpcast Discovery API is public. If you'd like to build an action, read the spec link below and reach out. So this is very cool. Oh, thank you. That would help. I wasn't showing that, was I? This is very exciting. And then we had this from Dan. That was from Horsefax. And then we had this from Dan, introducing Composer Actions. Create frames while you're writing a cast. Discover the new actions right in the app, available on Warpcast mobile. Developers can now build and submit an action for listing. Here's a demo of the new animated GIF action by 0xconca.eth, featuring GIF from miguelgarest.eth, which I always love his GIFs. So this was some exciting news. Right? So good. So this is exciting news to all these new composer actions. And there is a updated list of composer action ideas. So this is ideas for you. If you're wanting to build something and aren't sure what might be useful, Dan always loves to like guerrilla some ideas there.
Dan's out here handing out favors, like, please do this, please do this.
Please do this, please, if you wouldn't mind. And this is the GIF one. Start from installing the action and summon it in response to any cast. By doing so, every time you cast a GIF from a frame, the @GIFbot will cast on your behalf. If you want to cast as yourself, you need to sign in with Ninar from frames.lol so the system can safely store your signer through Ninar's backend. So this is really fun. I'm excited to see what people build. Oops, that's not working. And this is exciting to see this new thing. So yeah, what are your wish lists for composer actions? What do you think?
Oh man, I mean, I'd love anything that leverages more games and ways to not necessarily like play games, but display player data and showcase actions, and in ways that work with channels that already exist. Selfish plug with tabletop and gaming, but we have lots of people who are building like frame games or just straight up games like Far World and others, and we just love to be able to give the players some social cred on Farcaster for those kinds of things in different ways. I've been harping on Dan. I want more customizability in the Warpcast client, but that'll be never. So
not never. Never say never. You never know.
Small ways. Yeah, they're clearly pushing on frames as the way to push in customized content into Farcaster or into Warpcast.
I think so far that's working well. We'll see what else develops over time, but frames does seem to be the easiest way to start to incorporate other particular types of apps and actions. So seems to be working. So, and if you're in the chat, what kind of composer actions do you want to see, or what are you using? What are you liking? I do like that the poll, like I like the polls, Ponder in there. That's awesome. Yes, this is an opportunity for another client. Well,
That's
yeah,
what I was giggling about. Yeah.
it's an opportunity for another client. Seg wider. Yeah, so I do like that having those really easy to just tap into. So I'm excited to explore some of these other ones, but I'd love to see a tabletop one. That would be fun. But the events one is helpful as well for things like tabletop or anyone who's doing either online or IRL events. And we'll be adding GM Farcaster's calendar in there as well soon. So
Yeah,
that's pretty
shout
cool.
out for anybody who's anybody who's listening who wants to get into frame development. That is something that we're looking at doing for the tabletop channel,
Cool.
and that's kind of the next direction for stuff. Is I have a database of player stats and rankings, and I don't know if you've showed that off at all, Prof. But if you just go to
No, I haven't.
tabletop.xyz, you can see our player rankings, and I want to take that and put it into a frame. And I've not built a frame before. I know there's Ninar Frame
Yeah.
Studio and that sort of stuff, but I haven't dove into it. So if you're out there and you want to build something for tabletop, come talk to me.
Come talk to him. He's building. He's building. We're building. So come on in. That's awesome. And I still hold the ranking for most wins of Catan, but that ranking is now cut in half since I missed yesterday. But still hanging in there for now.
Well, your ranking is still number one, I think, because I think you've won
I
3
know.
games,
Yeah,
3 track
two.
games.
I've
So
only won two. I've only
okay,
won two.
okay. So
So
yeah, Calvin is 50 cal is halfway to tying you.
happy there. Yeah. So it's a slow start, but I'm gonna have this flex forever that I was first at the top of the leaderboard. I'll
I'll
take
be in
it.
first forever.
It's the small
I'll never
things.
grow old.
It's the small things that just make me happy, right? Some other news. This from at Fun, our
Yeah,
friend
exactly.
Welter. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
Mercury, exactly. Be able to do a matchmaking service and find other people to play the games that you like to play with. Exactly.
Yeah, that would be a fantastic frame. Where it would just like match you up, like, hey, this person likes this, you should reach out to them or something like that. I can see that also in a totally different light. Matchmaking in general, that's an easy thing. Like, instead of swipe, it's like click
Eventually,
next,
everything becomes a
click
dating app.
next. Of course it does. So this from Fun 100. This is his new Farcaster Studio leaderboard, available with the newest gainers in the past 24 hours on the Farcaster Studio. And this is interesting because this is post auto follow. So we're seeing a lot of a few new, not a lot, a few new folks in this top leaderboard here. And I was surprised, for example, to see Snickerdoodle in there. Some of the others, I'm not. Well, I was surprised to see Brandon Kamar at the top. I mean, that's interesting. And a few others in there. So I think that's going to be something to watch and see how this impacts who people are following. And hopefully it starts to surface more, new creators, new content contributors, new conversation liquidity providers, if you will. And in this new frame, this is from Fun also. What if I told you copying and pasting your Farcaster Studio profile URL turns into a frame on Farcaster? It's the first of many, probably like 3 or more frames coming. I don't know. And you put your farcasterstudio.com/users/your FID, and you get this cool little frame that shows you your followers, as well as you can go and get some additional stats on the farcasterstudio.com. But it's really interesting to see, like, I definitely have had the hockey stick since January, big time, the hockey stick of followers. And it's going to be interesting to see how that sort of tapers down. And
So
I'm here for it.
funny story about that. I've been using Welter stuff since he
It's
first
great.
came out with like the user stats. And it's so I've been paying attention to that. There's a couple others now. He's feeling some competition from like Cast Sense, and like Airstacks trying to do everything. So he's feeling some competition there right now. But this is super cool. But sorry, the funny part was about the hockey stick and this kind of thing, because
Yeah.
in like I guess in like June and like the first June through like mid-July, was just I went from I think 8,000 followers to like 50,000 now in like whoop, in a month, and it's nuts.
Yeah, it's nuts. It was crazy. Like for me, that was like January, February timeframe. Like I went from like, I had already surpassed my Twitter following and all that kind of stuff. And it's not something I actively try to do. And then we had that big influx and it was like, holy crap. And that a lot of it was not a lot, but about I think the calculation was about 26% was the auto follow and then also just volume, just natural volume of already having a significant audience. So interesting to see what happens next, but this is very cool. So go check this out from Fun. And thank you, Fun, for building that. That's pretty cool. This from Varun, and this is interesting for you, especially, I think. Neat new dashboard for analyzing conversational topics on FC. And what's interesting is crypto is not the biggest category. It's the second biggest. And the first one is culture, which I'm going to think that a lot of that culture is probably crypto culture, but whatever. We can pretend it's other things. Um,
I have actually
yeah.
done some exploring on that website, and you can dig deeper into what culture actually means. There's some
Okay.
subcategories for stuff. But yeah, I was just kind of giggling a bit over here because it's like, yeah, you know my brand, data and numbers and graphs and stuff. And then
Yeah.
he's like, oh yeah, and talking culture. Okay, yes, that tie-in makes sense too.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally like know that this would be something that you would have some thoughts on. But I also thought I did think that was cool. Like it was great to see that, crypto is not the biggest thing right now. Only it's still big, but we've got other things that we're talking about, and that's great to see. Um, we still need to grow these other categories, but we're getting there. And I think tabletop is one of the ones that can lead that sort of charge of being a place where people can find those folks who have that same interest that isn't readily available on other social media platforms right now, besides maybe Facebook. But you don't really see it anywhere else. So maybe Reddit. I don't know.
Yeah,
Where do
yeah,
you
Reddit.
where do you
Reddit.
find other tabletop players? Reddit?
Um, I I don't actually online.
Yeah.
It's like during quarantine, I was playing some board games with folks online, but that was from joining a couple of various discords, or the discords for the games specifically that I wanted to play, which is actually this. So you're actually kind of leading into exactly the pain point that what I'm
Yeah.
trying to do with tabletop is because like if you're someone who wants to play like Catan, and like I think I did a survey maybe like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, something like that, for the people who were in tabletop is like, hey, how often do you get to play board games? And most people are like, once a month maybe. Um, and most of that is just because they can't find people who are willing to play games with them. And so these people don't have people to play with, and so you have to go find those people, which is usually based off the game that you want to play. Um, so you find that you have a game, you go to their Discord, you have to then, you're new to their Discord, so nobody knows who the hell you are. So you have to like fight for attention in there constantly. Get somebody in a game, half the people don't show up, you have to reschedule it. It's just a huge fucking pain process. Um, and then, oh, and you want to play a different game now? Now start the whole process all over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's so fucked.
So I think that this is where like I really feel like Warpcast has a bit of a advantage and can for some of these communities be a solution. So I definitely think tabletop's one of those for sure. That's non-crypto, but just happens to a lot of folks who are already here are interested. So I think that's a
Yeah.
great crossover.
Yeah, definitely. And shout out Mercury in the chat here. Tabletop needs a third space, like an old school game store. You show up, see who's there, and see what happens. Exactly. That's exactly what the Gather Town is, by the way. So for those of you here, every 2 weeks we play board games in the the tabletop Gather Town, where it's just, hey, show up and see who's there and play some games. And like we've played Catan in there, we've played Dominion in there. We have played Nownish, Brennan's game in there as well.
Fun. Yeah.
And now we've played enough that some people are kind of like, hey, I'm kind of bored of Catan. What else is there to play? And like, yes, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Um,
that's great, right? Exactly. Yeah. So that's how it's going to grow, where people are going to find new things that maybe they haven't experienced before, which is fantastic.
exactly.
So exciting,
Uh,
exciting stuff.
it's super exciting, and yeah, that kind of old school games, friendly local game store, or a digital version of a friendly local game store is exactly what I'm imagining the Gather Town to function as, and that's what I'm trying to grow it into. It's just people know to show up at Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, and they can play games with whoever's there, and or come
Hopefully, I
in and
remember next time.
well,
I've
I'll drop
got a million notifications, and yet I still forgot.
It's all good. It's all good. And I'll drop something in the chat for y'all. But yeah, I can keep going. But
Yeah.
tabletop's cool shit.
Yeah.
You should come by, y'all.
Definitely, definitely. And we're going to talk a little bit more in a second about a few things that you have going on. Wanted to mention this cast I saw today from Nicholas. Has Farcaster been marketed? That's a weird word. We know that's a weird word around here. To anyone who isn't an Ethereum adjacent crypto Twitter person? Serious question. And Dan's response was nope. There is no one. There is no clear problem we are solving right now for those people. Two, what channel? And then go on to have this conversation. Problems that FC solves. One, for Twitterers who have lost distribution since the Grok Slop feed was introduced. FC is a micro-blogging platform where your reach is more guaranteed, akin to Substack for micro-bloggers. For creators who want to build an audience, FC is a new and growing network. They can be early. 3, for people looking for community online, Farcaster is a place to make URL to IRL friends akin to Meetup, Bumble, BFF. 4, for devs who want a free playground populated by people akin to Twitter, Dorsey's vision. Channels to target hot takes requires research. 1, laying out the talking points clearly so secondary evangelists can get internet points for running the playbook in competing venues. Debates increase awareness. 2, YouTube social media marketing strategy scene. Present FC as an opportunity for money at the intersection of crypto and social. Be careful with that. And 3, indie devs. FC is a free social API Vercel set. So, yes to all of those, Nicholas. Couldn't agree more, but also hard to, I shouldn't say hard to articulate, easy to articulate, hard to influence and convince others that this is true, even though we know it to be true. And again, I think like going back to conversation about tabletop, that's a clear opportunity because there isn't a hugely existing ecosystem already that's dominating that space. So,
Yeah,
but I
there
think
is a
all
website.
those things are true. Yeah.
There is a website, a forum website, like for tabletop. Tabletop's been, or board games specifically, has been indie for decades,
Yeah.
and it's now there's like one VC in the tabletop space, but they're really just trying
I
to
didn't know
buy
there
up.
was even an.
They're basically buying up all the publishers and then trying to convert all the board games to app-based games, which turns out to be a very
Okay.
successful strategy, by the way.
Yeah.
And
Also useful, very useful. It's for online games, when you can't, I think that's a great strategy
yeah, and
because,
but there is a forum website, Board Game Geek, which is the hub for board gaming on the internet. The issue is, well, I guess like a lot of Farcaster right now, it's very idiosyncratic and hard to navigate. And so that's kind of what in like next year and like further down the line is kind of like the vision I have for like a tabletop client specifically, is being able to like imagine having Farcaster, but instead of having this list of channels on the side, it's like specifically tabletop.xyz or something at the handle, and then there's just games and game threads, which is basically just search. It's basically just search results for different games. So it's like, oh, I want to talk about Catan. You can just click the Catan and it surfaces all of the posts that people have mentioned Catan in across all of Farcaster. So like most of that conversation is happening in tabletop right now, but not all of it.
right.
There is the Catan channel. Shout out Kay Daniels and Miriam. and Hirsch out there. So like, and for all the people who know, like, they like Catan but don't know where to find it right now,
Right.
is part of the issue. And so being able to surface a lot of that stuff, and be able to surface, player skill rankings from the game records that we have, and giving people that, something in their profile that is next to their name, next to each post that they do, like, hey,
Yeah.
this person is as a official Kataner, and like a little thing, like, for is
One of those little
it's still,
things. One of those little, like,
yeah,
that little
the little
octagon
meeples,
thingy. Yeah. Yeah.
little meeples for sure.
Or little meeple. Yeah. That'd be great. I think there's a lot of opportunity here. Such opportunity here. And I'm going to just jump into that really quick and then we'll circle back. I wanted to show a few casts that relate to tabletop. So this was last night's tabletop game night, and congrats, 50 cal ETH. Of course, I wasn't there, so that might be the reason. I'm just kidding. Congrats, almost Adam, Matthew, and Ilaz. Next time we'll do better. That's Miriam. I'm not going to say your name. I know it's Miriam.
I think she's in chat, but she's anon in chat right now.
Yeah, I know. I know her wallet now, which is really funny because she's anon in chat, and then she's sometimes on YouTube with her other name. So,
Gotta get your
so I've gotten to know her. It's so funny, and it was great playing with them last time. I have to say, like, some of the best ways I've gotten to know folks in Farcaster has been playing board games or poker, and that I have met brand new people who were not already, in my world, in my sphere. So it's been really fun, and I highly recommend it. So that was last night, and
Yeah,
next
it's
one's going to be
kind of
coming up.
funny from that game that you just were displaying. Ilaz is Isaac from Snickerdoodle, and Matthew's Matt
Oh,
from Events, and they hadn't met before. And then they were like, "Oh, I'm actually from Matt from Events," and they're like, "Oh, we've talked over email and on Parkcaster before. Cool, good to meet you," and stuff.
oh, that's really cool. That's great. And I didn't realize that was Isaac. Oh, that's so funny. Very cool. Been loving. We're doing some chatting with Snickerdoodle about some things, so that's very cool to see. And
Yeah,
I wanted to go ahead.
they're being supportive of tabletop, and they're actually sponsoring
Yep.
the On Game Summer series that we're doing. So we'll talk more about On Game Summer later, but basically just board games
Well,
across a
let's
couple
talk
different
about now.
cities. All
Let's
right,
talk
cool.
about.
Jump into
We'll
it.
go right into it. Because you know what, I sent him your way because he was asking us about opportunities
Thank you for
to
that.
sponsor events, and I was like, well, I know Tabletop's looking for sponsors. I know FCNY is, so we kind of sent them in those directions. So great to see that worked out. And this is the Tabletops on Game Summer that's happening now. So go check this out. And what exactly are you doing? Talk about the different activations that you're doing for On Game Summer. Oops.
Yeah, so we've got, and I'll drop this link in the chat as well, so y'all can check this out. But basically we've got LA, New York, San Francisco, and San Diego hosting events. I'm working with like Matt in San Francisco, Ted in LA, and Caro of FCNY in New York to host these board game events. Hey,
That's so cute.
that was the June event we did in San Diego.
Yeah, very good.
And
And V Dizzle, I didn't realize that you knew V Dizzle. That's so
yeah,
funny.
that was pretty
I
cool.
know her from way back, like 2 years ago or something. We used to do
The
another show
VCon?
called Poapathon. No, Poapathon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is like deep lore. Deep
Wait,
lore.
wait, wait.
Yeah,
I didn't know you were
funny.
at Poapathon.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was one of
that's
the
sick.
hosts. I was one of the hosts for a year.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's funny.
oh my God. Tap. I knew Tap. I met Tap at ETH
Yeah,
Denver and interviewed him for the
yeah,
podcast I was running at the time, 2 years
that's
ago, and all
funny.
that stuff. It's small
Yeah,
world.
so I was there with Tap and started out with him, and then he left the space, and I continued on for about a year. We did Poapathon every Tuesday, so yeah, long
Super
time.
cool.
So funny. So back to all of this on chain summer, on game summer fun. Um, So
Yeah. So we're playing board games. If you're in any of those cities, you should come out to these events that we're doing, and just playing games. The whole goal is to get to 1,000 people who've played board games by the end of September because of tabletop. I think currently the number we're at like 150 or so, which is
oh, nice.
super freaking cool. Actual guaranteed humans in Woof's terms. Bots could never. Um, and yeah, we're just trying to get more people, bringing people together to play games with other humans is the whole idea with that activation.
Exactly.
And we got the 4
Yeah.
cities, we got twice a month. We got
So Doofy, did you see earlier when he did Purple Beard? Purple Beard was flying up in the chat earlier, and now it's bots could never. That's so funny. He's so funny.
Oh yeah, you can, Tori. You just got to have the VIP. You got to buy a badge. That's it. That's all it takes.
She's trying to figure out how to do that. Yeah. Yep, that's what it takes. That is the one benefit of getting the VIP B badge. You can spam things like Doofy. In our
But
unlonely chat. For those who are just listening and don't know what we're talking about, this is the unlonely chat. So if you want to really dive in to GM Farcaster, get in the unlonely chat because it's way fun.
get in the chat.
Get in the chat, man. So tabletop, I'm really excited. You have something else that I wanted to chat about as well, because you're going up for some funding from Nouns and hoping to help fund some of these events and cool things that you've been doing. We did we played the Nounish board game. So Brennan.eth, who a lot of you may know from Farcaster, it created a board
Made
game, a
tavern.
physical board game,
Made
and
taverns
Tavern.
and
Yep,
multiple
created
board
Tavern.
games, all sorts of
And
stuff.
yeah, exactly. And he's made a couple games, but one that he has coming out is called Nounish, and it's a takeoff on Catan, and it's really fun. I actually really enjoyed it. I can't believe we were playing for like, I don't know, almost 2 hours, I think,
Yeah,
the
just
other
about.
night, and it went by like that. Playing that game, it went by so fast. I was like, "What time is it? Oh my god!" So a lot of fun, and he sort of encouraged you to put this prop in, delegated his nouns to you, and you're going to be putting a prop proposal in to Nouns for some funding for the tabletop channel for a whole series of activations, live activations IRL, as well
Yes.
as virtual, as well as building out some tooling and some of the things we were just talking about with frames where you could check stats or get matched up with other players, things like that. What else did what did I leave off in terms of what's sort of covered in that prop for in terms of like the activations and things? Did I cover the basics? I think I
I
did,
think
but
I think you hit pretty much the big stuff there. Yeah. The mm,
so it was like,
I,
yeah, because it was like
I would just
events, online, and the tech development, pretty
yeah,
much.
and like with those IRL events is doing things that like
Right,
not just latching on to doing side events at conferences. I'm actually doing our part of
right,
Nounstown LA in October. I'll be doing bringing board
great.
games and we'll be playing that at the Nouns Cafe. We've got some space. Hey, by the way, spoiler alert for anybody in the chat. If you're going to base camp this next week, I'll be bringing board games. We'll be playing at base camp also, and doing that sort of stuff. But like ETH Denver next year, what was the other one?
The
Gen
ETH
Con.
Denver, the tabletop, yeah, it's usually in February. The tabletop space I heard was like huge down there. They had a great space for that
Yeah, they took.
at ETH Denver. I
I
wasn't
remember.
able to go. Yeah.
Just they took the space. If y'all remember where there was like that pop-up Polyphia concert in 2022, which I can't believe I fucking missed that show. It's like fuck, I found out about it like 4 hours after. But anyway, that downstairs space, it's like the horse stable area, whatever. They took that over
Yeah.
that entire space and turned that into the board game area this past year at 2023. And so I showed up with like, hey, I want to play board games. And hey, people, let's play board games. And just showed up and got like, I don't know, 20 people, 15, 20 people to show up and
Yeah.
play games.
Very cool.
I know Adrian came out to that. Shout out to Lynx.
Yep.
Lynx was at that.
Yep.
And it was just super fun. And we're looking to do that even bigger next year. And
That would be
actually
amazing.
got
Yeah.
connected with somebody who knows the people at Asmodee, and so we can get some of the actual board game community, like not just crypto people, y'all. This is the intersection. We're bringing in the board game people
Exactly.
into this.
Exactly.
Alpha on only.
I know, they're so funny. I do want to mention this cast as well that I thought was really interesting that you casted yesterday, I think it was. Um, Today I learned tabletop market revenue is comparable to esports revenue. 1.88 billion esports, 2.12 billion tabletop, according to Statista. Is this legit? But I like that headline. So that was, it seems surprising, but if I think about it in a broader sense, in terms of the revenue of actual board game sales and things like that, and then also, are they including poker? Would be my question. I don't know. If
I
they are, it makes a lot more sense, but I'm not sure if they are.
I mean,
So,
I
yeah,
think even if you
interesting.
did include poker, like when you think of like, oh, the poker market, and I think like they would
Yeah,
call that more casino gaming. I think is where that would fall, just based
probably.
on because I looked at some of their categories. But a lot of those things like esports is, yeah, it makes a lot of noise because there's a lot of advertisers and there's a lot of
A
viewers
lot of
of
money.
those things.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of advertiser money that goes into that. But there's not actually like it's not that big of a scene in terms of or it is a big scene. It's just like what am I trying to say? The money is more concentrated on that and fewer
yeah,
events over the course of a year versus like tabletop stuff is more diffuse and happening all the time. And
right,
tabletop doesn't
right.
have as many like big flashy events. I mean, there's like Gen Con in Indiana that I'm looking forward to going to next year. I think shout out Dirt Hippie, by the way, is at WBC literally right now. It's World Board Gaming Championship in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Hmm,
And my god, like there's some tabletop stuff at like San Diego Comic Con, those kinds of things,
that makes sense.
but it's much fewer events, and there's nowhere like they do live stream some stuff, but it gets nowhere near the amount of viewers as something like
Sure.
the Dota 2 World Championships or something.
Right.
um but there's still a lot of people who want to play these games and buy things to play these games, and now there's a whole cottage industry on Etsy of people who are making like custom meeples for that you can buy for board games. I paid more for my board game organizer for Spirit Island than I did for the game.
Oh, that's funny. That's
Like
really funny. So
it, for,
that's it. I think that speaks to the industry. That makes a lot more sense,
yeah,
and speaks to the larger industry as a whole. But really interesting. A couple more notes that we're gonna just jump into really quick outside of tabletop, and then just circle back to see if there are anything you want to announce. This was from Dan and Polygon. Now on the chain here. Frames now support Polygon POS transactions. Polymarket is a great example of this. 0x Polygon is also offering nearly 250K worth of grants for developers who build Polygon frames.
Dan,
So that's
Dan's off there in the corner
exciting.
like, hey, by the way, did you guys know?
Did you guys know? Hey, did you know? Did you know? Um, that's pretty exciting. So a 500K Matic pool for builders powered by Gitcoin. So I would
Ooh.
check this out if you are a developer and want to develop some frames for Polygon. Um, and then
or or
lastly,
or if you've got
sorry,
an app or if you've got
or if,
an app that's already built on Polygon and you want to
yeah,
just find more
make it
users
into
and
a
get it more
frame.
visibility by putting it on a frame on Farcaster, shout out, shout out.
There you go. There you go. Like Polymarket. Um, and this from Noun 40, Bitwise Ethereum ETF banner going up outside the iconic facade of the New York Stock Exchange this evening. That was exciting to see. I got to tell you, this like gave me a big old smile when I saw this on the timeline. To be able to see ETH sort of taking over the stock market makes me just happy. This is what we really call occupying Wall Street, right? Like, forget that like BS from a couple decades ago. This is the real deal. This is the real deal. So, congratulations to all of those who launched the ETFs this week, and especially our friend Noun 40. Love seeing this, and yeah. So we're at the end
This
of our
this feels
time.
Like that
Go
feels
ahead.
like the coming home point. That particular cast with putting up the Ethereum thing feels like the coming home point of just like the Occupy Wall Street was just a bunch of, well, not a bunch of, it was a lot of angry people who were angry for a lot
Yeah,
of good reasons, who did something that got a lot of noise that wasn't particularly effective. And this feels like people
exactly.
who are like,
That is a
oh,
great that is a great explanation of Occupy Wall Street. Great summary.
uh, but they went off, and this is like the Bender from Futurama is like, fuck it, I'll go make my own financial system with blackjack and hookers, and then like coming back, it's like, all right, we did build this thing now, and it's kind of coming back. It's really cool.
Yeah. Jack and hookers. That pretty much describes crypto. Yeah. And now we're going to be respectable. Okay. Now we're getting there. Very exciting. So, just to wrap up for tabletop, when is the next game night? First of
So
all, let me ask
next
that.
game night is in 2 Thursdays from now. Whatever that, what I gotta pull up the calendar. That's
Okay.
the 8th. The 8th of August is going to be the next digital game night for tabletop, and I don't have the event made right now. I really wish I did, so I could just put it in the
That's
in the
okay.
chat. I
Yeah.
should have made that. But that'll be going out pretty soon, and I'll just be, hey, by the way, everybody, for the next bit.
Right.
Again, Basecamp is happening next week on, I think I have time. Actually, they haven't told me what time, but either Wednesday or Thursday at Basecamp, there's going to be a tabletop event that y'all should come out to if you like board games at all. Um,
Great.
I know and then we're going to have
I'll
an
be
events,
there
like I said,
for sure.
LA, SF, New York, and San Diego. There's going to be one for each of August. San Diego's on August 22nd. SF one hasn't happened for July. I think Matt said it was going to be like Tuesday night or something. But yeah, so shit's happening, y'all. Shit's happening. Go follow the
Great.
tabletop channel if you're not yet.
So that's what I was just about to say. Go follow Tabletop channel. You'll see frames like this when there's a game night scheduled. You can request to join there and yeah, stay abreast of all that's happening in tabletop. So thank you so much, Nerd. I appreciate you being here and filling in for Adrian today. It's been really interesting to hear everything that you have going on. I really do think that things like tabletop and esports and even the food channel, like these other things that have like very broad appeal, are going to be the way that Farcaster grows the non-crypto audience. So thanks for doing the work. We appreciate you.
Hell yeah, thanks for having me
All
on.
right.
This is a really, really cool opportunity. I'm really glad to be able to come on and show a lot of my own shit.
It's been a blast. It's been a blast. I was like, come on. You can shill all your stuff. I'm fine. I'm fine with that. It slides right into all of our conversations, so it was perfect. And with that, everyone, we'll be back Monday. It'll be Adrian back in the host chair. We'll be on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday next week. We are going to be at Basecamp with you, and we'll be playing tabletop games at Basecamp. Very excited. And we're going to try to stream a few times from Basecamp. No guarantees. We have no idea how the Wi-Fi is going to be in the middle of these woods, but we're hoping for the best. And we'll definitely be on Thursday morning for sure, giving you an update of all the things that have been happening. But we'll be back Monday. We'll see you then. And with that, everybody, bye-bye.